Salve discipli, and welcome to video 1. In this video, we will look at the second declension masculine, and by the end of the video, you should be able to identify the second declension masculine endings, be able to translate second declension masculine words in a Latin sentence, and be able to identify second declension nouns as well as first declension nouns by their dictionary entry. To begin with, we want to start by making sure you can recognize nouns when you see them. If you look up nouns in any of the Latin dictionaries available or in the back of your textbook, you will see that a Latin noun is distinguished by 3 parts. The first part is its nominative singular. It tells you the basic word and tells you the subject of the word. The second is the genitive singular. Now, the genitive, in addition to being the case of possession, also forms the stem of all nouns. So when you want to make different cases, you need to use the stem provided by the genitive singular. Here, the stem would be IR, because when you remove the genitive ending I, you are left with IR. Thirdly, you have the gender. The gender's main use is to help with connecting nouns to adjectives. So a feminine noun would be used with a feminine ending on an adjective, etc. We will look at adjectives and making nouns go with them later on in the course. Now that you're familiar with the setup of a Latin noun, let's look at the second declension masculine endings. Here on the screen are the 5 main cases in Latin. The one missing is the vocative. We will learn the vocative endings for the second declension at a later time, so for now, just focus on these. These endings sound as follows: us, I, o, o, I, orum, is, os, is. These should be memorized as soon as possible. In addition, remember the macrons, or the long marks. These should be memorized as well. Memorizing the long marks for the second declension is not too difficult, as if you notice, only the O's and I's receive long marks, whereas the U's in the nominative and accusative singular do not. Thus, with our second declension endings, we should now be able to distinguish between those second declension and the first declension. And as I said at the opening of this narration, the genitive singular is the key aspect, the key to determining what declension a noun belongs to. For the first declension, as you remember, the ending will be an AE, but now for the second, it will be a long I. Let's practice identifying some of these by looking at traditional dictionary forms. You may not know all of the vocabulary presented here. However, you should be able to identify what declension it belongs to. So take a second, pause this video, and see if you can identify what declensions each word belongs to. Okay, let's go through these one by one. The first one, if you notice, has an AE in its genitive singular. With an AE, therefore, this is a first declension word. The second one, filius, features a long I in its genitive singular. Therefore, this will be a second declension word. The third example, sapientia, features an AE in its genitive singular, making it a first declension word. The fourth one, vir, has a long I in its genitive, therefore making it a second declension word. In addition, it emphasizes the fact that genitives should be used to determine declensions and not nominatives, because it features a R in the nominative singular and not the traditional US, which we see in filius above. The fifth example, populus, also has a long I in the genitive, making it a second declension as well. And our final one, femina, having an AE in the genitive, must be first declension. At this point, you should be able to distinguish first and second declensions from their dictionary forms and should be able to list and identify the second declension masculine endings. For the third piece, we turn to sentences, for this is the actual use for us. We want to be able to translate Latin. In the following sentence, puerum in casa salutat, we have 4 words, 2 nouns, puerum and casa, and 1 verb, salutat. Our 2 nouns come from 2 different declensions, and I can see that by their endings. Puerum with a um ending clearly belongs to the second declension, and casa with a long a ending clearly belongs to the first. So with that knowledge, I can pinpoint what cases these are. Puerum with a um is accusative singular. Therefore, this makes it the object of my sentence. Casa is an ablative singular, making it the object of the preposition in. And finally, salutat, because of the T, presents the verb, and it is singular. Scanning back to the beginning of my sentence, I notice that there is no nominative singular to agree with my verb. Therefore, there is no subject stated, and it must be supplied from the verb salutat. Therefore, the translation should be, he, she, or it greets the boy in the house. If we move these words into an English word order, we get that sentence. Excellent. Now you try. Complete homework 1 for class tomorrow, and we will go over it at that time. Be sure you're able to identify the second declension masculine endings in a sentence and also able to list them in a chart. Until tomorrow, walete.